Hello students, through this video, learn the names of scientists and work done by them mentioned in your NCERT book from chapters 2 to 6. This is very important for examination point of view and question can come in your NEET as well as in your CBSE first term board exam. Sir Alex Jeffries, he is a British geneticist known for developing techniques for DNA fingerprinting, which are now used worldwide in forensic science to assist police detection work and to resolve paternity disputes, etc. Frederick Sanger, he was the first person to obtain sequence of amino acids in proteins, and for this he was awarded Nobel Prize in 1958. Also, he got second Nobel Prize in 1980 for determination of base sequences in DNA. Francis Crick, in mid-1950s, he postulated the presence of an adapter molecule, that is transfer RNA, also called as small RNA, that would on one hand read the code on messenger RNA and on other hand would bind to specific amino acid. George Gamow, a physicist in mid-1950s, proposed that genetic code was likely composed of triplets of nucleotides, means a group of 3 successive nucleotides in a gene might code for one amino acid in a polypeptide. Marshall Nierenberg, he was an American biochemist and geneticist. He shared a Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 1968 with Gobind Khorana and Robert W. Holle for their interpretation or breaking of the genetic code and describing its function in protein synthesis. Matthew Michelson and Franklin Stahl, they performed experiments on E. coli bacteria in 1958 and demonstrated that DNA replication is semi-conservative. James Watson and Francis Crick. In 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick proposed a very simple but famous double helix model for the structure of DNA. Alfred Hershey and Martha Chase. In 1952, they worked with viruses that infect bacteria called bacteriophages and unequivocally proved that DNA is the genetic material. Frederick Mesher. In 1869, he was the first to identify that DNA as an acidic substance present in nucleus and he named it as nuclein. So, he was the first to identify DNA as a distinct molecule. Frederick Griffith. In 1928, he gave transforming principle, for which he did series of experiments with Streptococcus pneumoniae, a bacteria responsible for the disease pneumonia. Oswald Every, Colin MacLeod and Maclean McCarthy, they worked to determine the biochemical nature of transforming principle in Griffith's experiment and gave first experimental proof that DNA is the hereditary material. Henke. In 1891, while studying the spermatogenesis in few insects, he noted that 50% of the sperms received a specific nuclear structure and other 50% sperm did not receive it. Henke gave a name X-body to this structure and later it was found that Henke's X-body was a chromosome, hence given the name X chromosome. Sutton and Bovary, they both gave chromosomal theory of inheritance. Thomas Hunt Morgan, he gave experimental verification of the chromosomal theory of inheritance, led to discovering the basis for the variation that sexual reproduction produced. He worked on tiny fruit fly Drosophila melanogaster. Gregor Mendel. He conducted experiments on garden pea for 7 years from 1856 to 1863 and proposed the laws of inheritance. These are law of dominance, law of segregation and law of independent assortment. Hugo Devries, Karl Correns and von Teschermark. In 1900, three scientists, Devries, Correns and Teschermark, independently rediscovered Mendel's result on the inheritance of characters. Edwin Shergov. He observed that for a double-stranded DNA, the ratio between adenine and thymine and guanine and cytosine are constant and equal to 1. Maurice Wilkins and Rosalind Franklin. They obtained images of DNA by using X-ray crystallography, and from this data, Watson and Crick in 1953 gave double helix model of DNA. So that's all for today. Thank you very much for staying with me. Subscribe the channel to get the information about my new video. Thank you so much.